Hey creative friends, welcome to my channel and welcome to today, which is Wednesday, which means it's Crafty Wednesday, and I have invented a craft. So the reason I invented this craft was because last week we took Snickers and we went to Roseburg to go to Costco, which was so exciting because we don't have a Costco nearby. It takes 90 miles to get there. But anyway, it was a lot of fun, and we always stop at this one really beautiful rest stop, and Snickers took a little walk. And he did his business. And I realized I did not have a plastic bag. So I had to go searching in my car, and I found like a grocery bag. And I used that to clean up after him. And then it made me remember that when we drove cross country, we stopped at a lot of places, and they would have these little bags that you could get. And every once in a while, you know, we'd grab one, or sometimes they'd come out like 2 or 3 of them stuck together, so we'd take them. And these were all in the little pocket in the door of Ryan's truck. But we were in my car, so I didn't have access to them. So I thought I need to get some and keep them in my car. But then I thought I need something to keep them in. So I invented a thing in my head. You may remember, or you've seen, plastic bags, when they first, I'm older, so I remember when they started using the plastic bags at the store instead of paper bags, and everybody would get them built up, and you'd make things like you could crochet them and all this stuff, but they made like a thing you would shove your bags in the top of, and you would pull out the bottom. It was basically a fabric tube with elastic on the top and bottom. So I thought to myself, I need something like that for Snickers to keep bags in the car. So I invented a mini tube. And I know that you can get bags in like little rolls or things that hook onto their leash or something, but this is just handy. And I think I could hang this like in the car, like on the doorknob or anywhere you could hang this. And so what I've done is I pushed the bags in the top, so when you go, you can just reach up there and pull a bag out. See how that works? And FYI, when you go to the produce department and you use these bags for your produce, don't throw them away. Use them to put in your bag, and I'll show you how to do that. But I'm going to take you down here so that you can see the materials that you need, and I'll make one for you. Okay, so I've got this bag, and I made a couple of them. So I made one for my friend who has Snickers Little Playmate, and I'm going to stick this in here. So let's say you've got this produce bag. You just stick it through the top, you know, kind of pull them out. You don't want them to be all knotted together, so you want them to be individual, and then you want to just kind of pack it in. So, and then I'll show you what to make this out of. This one has a little bit of a looser neck on it, or top on it, so I'm going to keep that. So I'll give the other one that is nicer to our friend. But this would be great. I can hang this. Actually, I'm thinking about just putting this over the, you know, the headrest part. Put this around the post and then feed that through so it will, like, you know, hang on the headrest like that. And then I'll always have these bags. But what am I going to need? Okay, in order to make this, there's 3 bags there. Okay, I'll show you. In order to make this, what I have is I have a piece of fabric, and see, so cute, once I had this idea, I went down to my fabric stash and I found the fabric that has little dogs on it, and I thought that's perfect. So this is 6, I think it's 6, yes, it is 6 by 9. So I made it 6 by 9, and of course you can make it smaller or bigger. You can do anything you want. And so what I'm going to do, I also have some clips and some pins, because I'll need that. So you need those. They're basic sewing things. And then I have a bodkin, and this is what, if you don't know what a bodkin is, you put your elastic and you kind of squeeze that on there, and you use that to feed it through the channel that you're going to have to feed it through. If you don't have one of these, you could use safety pin or something like that. So there's that. But you need the 6 by 9 piece of fabric, 2 pieces of elastic. Now this is the super skinny. This is just kind of a little elastic cord. You can use any kind of elastic, and I cut it at 5 inches. That way it gives me enough room to pull it through and to still have enough if I tie it off or if I sew it. So 5 inches. And then you want something to make the little hangy part. And this, you could use a piece of ribbon, you could use another piece of elastic, you could use whatever you want. But back when everybody was making masks, you know, I worked in a bank and I took a bunch of fabric in and I let all the tellers and the bankers pick their pattern, and I came home and make them all masks. And so these were the elastic like pieces that you would put on the mask. You remember how, I don't know, I still have a bunch of them, and I thought this would be a way to use them. But it's kind of a bummer because I made all those masks, and then they determined that just cotton wasn't really that protective. But it was fun to make them, and everybody appreciated it, so that was cool. So those are what I have. 6x9, 2 pieces of 5-inch elastic, and something to be able to hang it with. So this is super easy. I'm going to take the end of it, the end of this piece of fabric, and I'm going to fold it up about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch. And this is not a super technical deal because this is just a doggy pooper bag holder. So I'm going to fold that up. Now I'm going to fold it up about 3/4 of an inch, and my finger from joint to tip is 1 inch. So that is my, this is 3 inches long. That's 1 inch, that's 1 inch, and that's 1 inch. I'm so lucky. I can measure things with my finger, and I've done it for years. So now that's going to go up about 3/4 of an inch, and that's that. Okay. Now, I'm going to give those a little pin those right there, just to hold it. And then we're going to do the other end of it. Same thing. Fold it up about 1/4 of an inch. And you know, I made that second one after I invented this in my head, and I came and made one. I made the second one. I always try it, trial and error, to make sure that there's no changes that I want to make. I made it in like 10 minutes. So, okay, there's about 3/4 of an inch. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my machine, and I'm going to sew 2 bits. First of all, I'm going to sew right along here. I'm going to sew this where it's going to attach, but I always like to do a little edge stitch around the edge of that, and that way you can see it kind of just gives it a little gathering there. So I'm going to stitch 2. I'm going to stitch 1 right along the inside of there, about 1/8 of an inch, and then the same thing on either side, on both ends. So I will take you over to my machine and we'll do that. Okay, so we're going to do this about 1/8 of an inch, and it's going to be fabulous. This is actually a super good idea, I think. And it's kind of a fun thing you could give somebody that likes to take their dog for a walk, or likes to, like in my car, I got a different car, and it's perfect for Snickers because all the seats in the back lay down, and so he likes it back there because he lays there and he watches out. It's cool. So I'm thinking we will probably take him a lot more, and it'll be nice to have this in my car. So now I'm going to go down this side, a little back stitch, and then these are going to be handy. And I was just lucky that I had this fabric that had little dogs on it. So that turned out kind of cool. Okay, there's that. So see how I did a line there and a line there. Now I'm going to go do this end. And then I'm going to come back and show you the next thing. This is so simple. But I like this. I think it's going to be cute. Just a miniature version of the grocery bag holder. Now you can make this any size you want, and you know, if you make this really big, you can put all your grocery bags from the store in it. But I also like the idea of recycling it using the produce bags from the store as well. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I've got those 2 things done, and now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, I'm going to trim off all these little extra threads on here. And then I'm going to actually feed the elastic. Now there's tons of different ways of doing this. This is just the way I'm doing this. So when I make up a pattern like this in my head, and certain ways I do things is because I was shown to do it that way, and I've had people come back and say, that's not the way you sew that kind of thing. Well, it's just the way I do it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my bodkin and take this little piece of elastic, and you can use regular, you know, 1/4 of an inch elastic if you want to. And I'm going to feed it through here. Now, I'm going to feed it through, and then when I get it to this end, see how it's going to come? Oh, darn it. That's the risk of not paying attention. Okay, I'm going to feed it through here. And when it gets to the end of the elastic, I'm going to go over to my machine and I'm going to sew that down. So let me sew that down. because that's going to keep it from pulling through. Okay. There we go. Now, on this other end, in order to make this gathered and tight enough, I'm going to feed this down, and basically I'm going to scooch that down, and I'm going to pull it out to about 3 inches. That's about right. Now I'm going to go stitch that out, and so see, when I make the little loop, it's going to be small enough. So let me stitch this down. I'm going to do both sides this way. Okay. Now I got to do the top of it. And remember, this pattern has dogs up and down, so it doesn't matter. But if you were really doing a pattern that was directional, you'd want to make sure that you had the top up when we do the next step. We're almost done with this, believe it or not. Okay, now I'm going to feed this through. And see, when you do this extra little stitch along this edge, it kind of gives it a little bit of strength too. It's not just the end of like that, you know, with the elastic. It gives it kind of like, it reminds me of like the way they do curtain channels or something. Okay, so let me get this up here. Now I'm going to run this through here. Oh, this is going to be a good little thing. And I'm going to take one over to our friends, because they're the ones that babysit Snickers when we used to go away. Their old dog was his girlfriend. They got a new dog, but she needs one of these now. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out. And I'm going to measure about 3 inches there. About right there. Perfect. Now, let me do this a little bit. And so this is a good beginner project too, because there's really nothing major except for there will be a zigzag stitch here in a second. Okay, almost done. Now what I'm going to do is trim off all of these bits. Take me a second or two. Okay, so see how that is now? See, top and bottom? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this doodad, or you're going to take maybe your, I don't know, your piece of extra elastic or ribbon or something, and we're going to turn this over and we're going to measure it. Or I could just take this and lay it right here, and then I'm going to kind of overlap that. See what I'm doing? Got that? I'm going to lay that right there, and I'm just going to zigzag over that to hold that down. So let me hop over here. See if you guys can come. There you go. And I'm going to give myself a little zigzag stitch. There we are. So if you're a beginner sewer, I like to do projects that a beginner sewer can do, because I just want to do things to encourage people to start sewing or to learn to sew or something, just because I think it's a great thing to do. Okay, now I'm just zigzagging over that little piece of elastic. Okay. Remember to put it back on straight stitch. Okay, I'll put it right back on straight stitch. Oops. One, okay. Alright, now. Okay, so we've got that on there. You see how that is? Now all we're going to do is bring these two sides together and meet them. Let me trim off that piece of thread. Okay. We're just going to meet these. You can pin them, but I'm going to use my little clips. And then the bottom, I'll meet that up right there. Cut that little. This fabric spray is pretty bad. So if you have a serger, you can serge it up there too. Okay. Now all I'm going to do is go make that straight stitch along this seam where I folded it together, and now I'm going to stitch, and then this is up here at the end. Gotcha? Okay. I'm going to stitch this about 1/4 of an inch. Standard width you do on your presser foot. There we go. Coming right up to the top. Back stitch. We'll cut it right now. And I I am now done. So I'm going to turn it right side out. And let me get my bags. I'll be right back. All right, now I'm going to turn it right side out. I cleaned up my pens and stuff. And now, there we go. And then we'll put the bags in it, and you'll see how cute this is. Like, what a cute gift, right? I just think it's handy. And, you know, you could hook it on the leash if you're taking your dog for a walk on the leash. Oops, get out of there. There we go. Let me trim this little bits of hair off. There we are. Now, I'll show you how to stuff it. And I love the idea of saving your produce bags. Okay, so you want 3, you want however many. And then I'm just going to start stuffing it in there. And then the second one. You could get more than 3. But like now, every time I'm out doing a doggy walk thing, I'm going to pick up some of these bags and I'm going to put them in my little bag dispenser. My bag. Okay. All right, there you have it. I've got one for our friend, one for my car, and one for Brian's truck. And now all you have to do is reach up there when you're taking your dog for a walk. Boop, pop a bag out. So I hope you guys give this a try. It was a quick and easy craft, and I did almost all of it in this video. So that's how quick it can be to make these. And what a fun gift for your friend that loves their dog and likes to go for walks. And you make sure they've always got their pet responsibility bags handy. So I hope you guys give this a shot. If you do, I'd love for you to go over to my Facebook group and post pictures of your finished projects. That would be awesome. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.